Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sharissa Bradley and I am the founder and co-owner of 52 Press Independent Publishing House. I am so excited that you're joining me. This is a continuation of a series called How to Publish Your Book in 10 Steps. This episode focuses specifically on how to find your target audience. If you haven't checked out that video yet, I encourage you to do so. The link is in the description box below. If you watched my previous video, you'll see that step 1 to publishing a book isn't anything to do with writing a book. It actually has to do with finding who you're writing the book for. Now, your first answer might be, I'm writing the book for myself. And that's great. Writing a book can be a really transformative experience. But when you're writing, you're often writing for other people to learn from your experiences or to be entertained by your story. It's important to first focus on who those people are before you even start writing your manuscript. If you've already started writing, that's perfectly fine. It's great to focus on who your target audience is at any point in the journey. But if you can focus on them early on, that's great, because when you're actually writing your manuscript, you can write to that person. You can talk to that person. And in order to do that, you need to answer a few questions. Things like, who is the person that I'm talking to? Maybe they have a lot of similar characteristics that you do. Start writing those things down on paper. Maybe you're a female, maybe you're an age, maybe you have specific interests, maybe you shop in a specific place or you use specific apps. Those are things that you could keep track of. How old is the person that you're writing to? How much free time do they have in their day? And during that free time, where are they consuming their information? If you're primarily thinking that they're going to be consuming information on Instagram or Facebook, those are going to be the areas that you're going to want to share more about your book more often. Even if the book isn't finished being written yet, you'll still want to start talking to that person. It might be tempting to think that you are the target audience, and that may be true for some things, but there will be someone out there who's the best fit reader for what you are providing. The value that you're creating in a book is definitely for people out there. So who is it that needs that information the most? Start building out a little profile for the ideal reader for your book. Do they spend their free time on social media apps like Instagram or Facebook? Do they spend their time consuming YouTube videos? These types of things will be really important when it comes to marketing your book. And marketing actually starts right at the beginning of the writing process. It's so important to tell people that you're writing a book and share with them when you plan on having it come out, what types of things you want to include in the book, what it's going to be about. Maybe it's a fantasy series and you start sharing some of the character details way before the book even comes out to create a little bit of buzz. It's important for you to know where your audience hangs out so that you can find them and that they can find you more easily. If it's going to be on Instagram, then it's important to start building an Instagram following now and start building out your trust with that ideal reader. Teach them a little bit about who you are and what kinds of things you're interested in. And when you do that, you'll build trust with the people who are going to read your book. If you can start by answering a few questions about your target audience or your target reader, this will help you in the writing process because you'll know who you're writing to and what you want them to learn from you. You can answer things like, do they have a family? Do they shop anywhere specific? Do they spend their times on any specific apps? What types of things do they spend their money on? Do they even buy books anymore, or do they prefer to consume books through things like ebooks or Audible, where they're listening to the book rather than actually reading a copy of the book? That will help you to determine what types of files you'll need in the end. When you do go to publish your book, you'll have lots of options. You can publish a print version of your book, you can publish an ebook, and you can publish an audio version of your book, all of which will help you to reach the people that you want to talk to the most. But it will first be important to define who that person is. If you've downloaded our ebook, there is a place for you to write down all of these different profile questions about that target reader. Things like, where do they shop? and what kind of books do they read, and what kinds of things are they looking to learn from you. And once you have that profile built out, it will be a lot easier to talk to and write to that person specifically. This is step one because it's very important to understand who it is that we're talking to before we start talking. It's important to understand who we're writing to before we start writing. And if you've already started on your writing process, that's great. And you can edit in any kind of specific things that you'd like to during the editing process that make it just that more personal. When someone is reading your book, there's no bigger compliment to get than "It sounded like and felt like you were talking right to me." How do we get that kind of a reaction? Well, we get it by planning ahead and by, in fact, talking to that person while we're writing the book itself. And then when they hold it in their hands and it's that perfect ideal reader, they're going to feel as if you're speaking directly to them. And what a beautiful thing to be able to do. So in our very first step along the journey, we really need to focus in on that target audience. Who is it that you're writing to? Who is it that you want to learn from you and the things that you've learned in your life? Maybe if you're writing a memoir, the person that you're writing to is the younger version of yourself. Maybe there are things you wish you knew earlier on and you want to tell the younger population, hey, listen up, do it this way instead. What a beautiful thing to be able to outline that ahead of time. If you're early on in your publishing journey and you can still include your target audience in your book as of right now, that will help benefit you in the end so much more. And you can start marketing to those people right now on those channels that they consume information from. Check out the downloadable PDF, fill out your target audience profile, and get really specific about who you want this book to be for, and then start writing. Thank you so much for joining me on this series. I can't wait to tell you even more about the publishing process. Don't forget to get your PDF, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.